Good morning, everyone. It's that time again. It's September 10th, 2020. Time to take a break with Drake, America's Bible teacher. We're just hanging out here in the theater, hanging, swinging, as Drake continues in Corinthians.
I remember the first time I heard someone told me, "What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're hanging out." Hanging out. Like laundry on the line? Like bats? I didn't know what it meant. But, we just finished setting up here to start filming. And my wife does such a great job of this stuff with all the lights and the layers. I've got 5 bulbs around me. And, she puts up the graphics and graphs in the photos. But wasn't it great to have Bridget yesterday? Wasn't it great to have Bridget yesterday? She's such a gem. She's such a kick in the pants. She was so fun. We were on the set of Farmer and the Belle for 6 weeks. I think it was 6. I think it was
5 weeks at least.
5 weeks at least. And was Bridget there the whole time, or did she have
No, Bridget was there the whole time.
Bridget was there the whole time. I think she's empty nest, so it kind of worked for her.
Good morning, Dan Best. We missed you yesterday too.
Yeah, and honey, remember what Dan's middle name is?
Dan the Best?
Yeah, his middle name is the
Best.
Dan the Best. Good having you, Dan. Yeah, so we are in 2 Corinthians today. But by the way, Bridget, she is, what a superlative. And she lives right in the middle. I mean, if you caught that yesterday, she's on set for 20 years of Growing Pains, Full House, Home Improvement. I mean, she's right there. And just off cameras, you think, well, I didn't see her. Well, the support behind it. We filmed a show on DirecTV, and it ran on DirecTV for 2 years, and you just see us, but there were 30 other people in the studio doing all kinds of stuff.
It was a busy time. Hey, I've been off camera a lot lately. I was on camera yesterday, but I think I'm ready to go on camera again.
Are you? Okay, Eleanor.
Hi.
My wife surprised me this morning with
I figured I'd put my hair up today.
Yeah, hair out of the 40s.
And Drake, I'm still trying to organize this a little bit. It's still a little all over the place.
Oh, that's fun though. But anyhow, my wife sets up this set, and if I set it up, oh my goodness, I don't even want to think about what would happen. Like I saw somebody was talking about broadcasting and graphics and artwork, and they're like, oh, let's go to so-and-so now. Well, they couldn't do that at first. They just describe it in the studio. And somebody even said, when Prince Charles was born, television was brand new, and the graphics they used, somebody on set just drew a picture of a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes. It's like with a felt tip pen.
Are you serious? That's funny.
And so when Prince Charles was born, and it says, and Queen Elizabeth gave birth to Prince Charles today. And it looks like it looked like a kid's drawing. This was international news.
Oh my goodness.
And we also had an incident with an airplane today. And so they drew an airplane. And when you draw an airplane, it doesn't look good. He says, and there was an incident at the airport today, and they held up a sketching of an airplane. I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty. Anyway, if I was in charge of graphics and lighting around here, it would be like a newscast from 60 years ago.
Oh, okay. So
maybe 67 years ago when television was brand new. So anyhow, thank you, honey. We're in Corinth. Yes, we are.
We are in Corinth, and I'm just trying to keep my hair all plopped up on top of my head.
That's good. I
think I'm doing okay.
I used to play with my hair, and
sorry, you can't borrow any. I'm going to keep it all.
It won't play anymore. But in 2 Corinthians, now remember, Corinth was a city that was rough. It was a rough town, and the gospel invades rough towns. I've said this. If you go, all right, you already said that, good, you remember it. And if it's news to you, good, you need to hear it. Either way, it's good. The fastest growing church in the world right now is in Iran.
Yeah, the gospel.
What?
The gospel goes beyond borders. The
Yeah.
gospel is an occasion for an invasion.
So yeah, and if you were writing the Bible right now, there would be a book to the Iranians. First Iranians 1 and Second Iranians.
Oh, sure.
Because it's just it's so new to them. Like, how do we do this? And I remember hearing a story.
First Seattleites and second Seattleites.
Yeah, and I
They
heard,
probably get 10 books. 10
I heard
letters.
this firsthand from somebody who experienced it. They were on this bus, and these Iranians had come to a conference in the West, and they get on their bus and they're singing like Juventus at a soccer tournament. And you ever watch some of these songs? And then the Kansas City Chiefs. It's cool, man. This Indian, they're just all singing it. Well, they get on this bus and they start singing "How Great Thou Art," almost rattling the windows. In a city where in public you kind of just keep the noise down. Mm-hmm. And the guy says, "Dude, we don't do that in the city." He says, "No." He says, "You don't understand. In this town, we just kind of behave quietly in public, and when you get in a theater, then you yell there, but you don't yell here. You don't understand. You need to be." He says, "No, you don't understand. We have to whisper worship."
Wow.
And our church of 5,000 has to whisper worship because if the police hear us, they come in with machine guns, and we don't know how many of us will survive. This is the first time we have been able to worship out loud since we've become Christians. You're the one that doesn't know. And they're singing, "Then sings my soul, my Savior." And this guy's like, all right. Oh my goodness. That was
A little bit of screamo with the hymns.
So, Iranians. Yeah. Corinth. We're in Corinth today.
Yeah.
And Corinth would be, now I remember I went to Bible college in the Midwest for a semester.
In the 1800s.
Yeah. And they said, "Oh, you're from California. Oh, you're one of them." Well, Corinth had the reputation. "Oh, you're from Corinth. Oh, the wild church."
Aha.
And I remember listening to the radio once, and this guy says, "Okay, today we're in the book of 1 Corinthians. Now, Corinth was a town much like the towns in California. We might as well call this book 1 Californians." I had just moved to this town, and it was closer to the East Coast than the West Coast in the Midwest. And I thought, well, it just struck me. But this is the reputation that the town of Corinth had. But I want to tell people, I was a kid in California. I've been there for 20-something, just under half my life. We were there 2010 through 2016, 2017. Numbers, who cares? But God is moving in a massive way. One of the churches that we know the pastor, we know elders, we know there, we've been there. Church of 20,000, multiple services. I think they have 4 or 5 services on a weekend. Several thousand come to each service, so 20,000. The pandemic, scamdemic, virus, what shuts the church down. They go online. Over 1 million are watching. Oh my goodness. People in California, there's way beyond 10 million. 10 million, easily 15 million dug-in, committed Christians in California. The fires, I think a lot of these are lit on purpose because California threatens to go red this November. And but the Demolition National Committee, the DNC, is very panicked right now. So easy on California. There's, the main revivals that have swept the world in the last 120 years, most of them have started in California.
I'm amazed, honey. You're defending California, the true California.
Weird.
That's what you're. That's what you're doing here. Yeah. My goodness.
And when all the scamming is done, the state votes red. They voted against homo marriage landslide. And some judge said, I don't even care how they voted. Their vote was unconstitutional. Interesting when someone quotes the Constitution to do something ungodly, and they use the Constitution, which they don't believe in. Interesting. That happens in California. But the citizens don't vote for that. The state votes red, but it gets bilked over. And here I go again. California, Corinth.
You're really stuck on California. Okay, Corinth. Hooray, Corinth.
Racy, crazy, messy, rough town. A vibrant church is growing there. There's some rascals in the church, and we're going to talk about that. It opens mentioning comfort, and the word comfort shows up 8 times in the first paragraph. And I mentioned when we started the book of 2 Corinthians, don't confuse coddling with comfort. Co-fortify, join you and strengthen you. It's not to keep you in your hammock. It's to get you better and get you out of your hammock. It's to get you better and to get you out of intensive care, out of the hospital bed, out of the, let them be comfortable, let them sleep in, let them just lounge. And that's not comfort. That's coddling. That turns people into zoo animals that can't function out in the world anymore. You take a zoo animal that's had, its meat dropped in a tray every day, and this animal's never known the wild, and you put them out in the wild, they get devoured. To keep someone, you're keeping them on a dog leash and in a cage. If you coddle someone instead of comfort them, your helping isn't helping. We all see these people on street corners, anything helps, God bless. Christians, and I had an amazing Christian talked to me last month, and he said, I give nothing to the homeless around here. Nothing. Nope, not gonna, I need this, I need that. Hey, can you help with a whatever? No, don't buy me food. Just if you get a buck or two. I was at an intersection once on a job, and I stopped, and I see this guy holding a sign up, and I thought, go give him a buck. And somebody grabbed me and said, don't do that. All he does is buy heroin. That's all he does. Well, I'll go get him maybe a burger or something. And he says, nope. He'll take a bite out of it. He'll put it back in its little Happy Whopper thing, take it back in there, and he'll say, I don't like this. And they refund him, and they give him back for the fries, the shake, the burger, and then he give him back his $5, and he'll go buy heroin with that. It doesn't help. You're not comforting him. He used the word compassion here, to join them and to suffer with them. That's what it means, to have compassion. And you've got to define these terms, and you've got to be biblical with these terms. Paul is talking, so don't use today's definition of these words and say that you're obeying Paul when he's defining these words differently than they get defined now. Maybe I'm saying too much. I don't know if you get it yet, but we really got to do this stuff in a biblical manner. This whole homeless culture is not handled biblically. If it was, it would be getting solved, but it's not. It keeps getting worse. In certain cities, I'm going to move on here. Paul talks about returning to Corinth, and there's a title in 2 Corinthians within chapter 1, right after verse 11. It talks about Paul's change of plans. Now, when the Bibles were first written, these titles weren't in here, the chapter divisions weren't here, the verse numbers weren't in here. They were put in there later so that we could all specify and study stuff more precisely. We can do that with all these verses, but they would just say, hey, read the whole book and keep reading the whole book. And they didn't have a lot of entertainment back then, so they read the book of 2 Corinthians and they'd read it once a day until I got it, until they practically had it memorized.
They were probably better at memorizing back then.
Oh, sure they were.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that I know of people that have the whole Bible memorized.
What?
And I guarantee you, when you're doing that,
would not be me.
You're not up on Instagram. You're not up on Facebook. You're not up on cat memes. You're not up on, the rappers and the rockers and stuff. You're kind of like, well, I don't even pay attention to those guys. So it's the biblical mentality.
I memorized Psalm 23 as a kid, but
Yep, you
I
did.
didn't memorize all those Psalms.
Well, Paul talks about returning to Corinth, and there's something in here, and I hope I can explain it right.
What verse are we in, Drake?
2 Corinthians 1, verse 12. It's where it says Paul's change of plans. Now this is our boast. Our conscience testifies that we have conducted ourselves in the world, and especially in our relations with you, in the holiness and sincerity that are from God. He's talking to a people who don't live in a holy town, not in a sincere town. When you have sailors and brothels and Vanity Fair and crazy entertainment and fire breathers all around and magicians, it's a wild place. But he'd visited them 52, 53, 54 AD. He was there for a year and a half. He left. He was back in Ephesus on his third missionary journey. If you can put that up.
You want me to put that up?
Sure.
Okay, sure. It's going to cover your face for a second, just so everybody can see
on his
it.
third missionary journey.
Okay.
He writes to the First Corinthians he's there on his second missionary journey, but he writes to them during his third missionary journey. Mm-hmm. He wants to come to them, and we have some things in here that this is peculiar how to explain this. In verse 15, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 15, and we used to not even be able to have these conversations because the numbers weren't in there, but we can now. Because I was confident of this. I planned to visit you first so that you might benefit twice. He uses some plays on words here. He says, am I coming? Yes. Am I coming? No. Do I say yes, yes, or no, no? My yes means... He just kind of talks shopping list, and the end of chapter 1 reads like a email message that's going back and forth. Are you coming to the banquet? Will you be there for 7 o'clock? I think so. I'll try to be early. Good, because if you can come early, then we can help with some setup. And also, we need to move stuff from the freezer to let it thaw, but that's going to be at 6 o'clock. And okay, well, I think I can get there by 6 o'clock. If you can, yes or no, because I need to know for sure. If you don't, I'll get somebody else on. And it just kind of reads like that. Mm. So it kind of, where's the gospel stuff? It's just shop talk. Are you coming? Yes. Are you coming? No. He wrote 1 Corinthians 2-3 years after he left there. And how do I say this? Verse 23, I call God as my witness that it was in order to spare you that I did not return to Corinth. They want, Paul, can you come back? There's a mess over here. Well, I'm in Ephesus. Hang on, I got to wait. Not that we lord it over your faith, but we work with you for your joy because it is by faith that you stand firm. When you have several children, you need to deal with them in different ways. I talked to one parent. Have I talked to people these last 30, 40
Drake talks to
years.
lots of people.
One father, he told me, he says, I got one kid, if I say, come to breakfast, eat quickly, we have to go soon. Okay, got it. Come to breakfast, eat quickly, and then we'll finish, clean up, and because we've got to get on right after breakfast, we've got to go to Auntie's house. I could whisper it, and they got it. I said, I have another child. They don't even hear me until after the third whack on the butt. And so this other one, the subtlest thing, if you yell at them, it would traumatize them. They hear the whispers. The other one, the yelling, what? You talking to me, huh? Wham, wham, wham. Oh! After the third whack, you got their attention. We adopted some twins, and it's a different story, but the twins are, one of them likes to get picked up and, hold them overhead like that and throw them clear across the room. And as long as they land on the couch, it's okay.
Well, that's when you're tossing kids on the couch.
By the way,
they love it at some point in time.
By the way, I never missed the couch. I always hit the couch. We never overshot.
It's the 1, 2, 3, go.
And so I'd come home and I'd act like a caveman when I come home. I said, all right, I hear there's children around here. And I picked the one up and I said, listen, you, next time I come through this, I want to hug and you better, boom. And I yell, and he lay on the couch, Daddy, do it again. So one time I grabbed the other twin. I said, listen, I did the caveman thing, and then boom, and they almost started crying. And I thought, oh, that's right. The other twin likes the big toss and chuck routine. This one wants to be held and read to. I felt awful. Paul wants to comfort these people in Corinth, and there's some bad people in the church, some. They don't get comfort. So Paul's kind of like, as God is my witness, so some of this iffy-wiffy talk in 1 and 2, he wants to comfort those that need to be comforted, but he wants to disturb those that need to be disturbed. It's interesting how God comes to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. God's always done that.
God knows what's best.
2 Corinthians chapter 2 starts, so I made up my mind that I would not get this wording. You may have missed this all your life. So I made up my mind that I would not make another painful visit to you.
Wow.
Another painful visit? He's only been there once.
He had enough pain the first time.
It wasn't a visit. He was there 18 months. And in my reading up on this, it kind of spun my head. Now, I've been reading this book for over 50 years. But I saw something that made me go, what? So I read, It's saying that when he was in Ephesus, there were many, and ships would just go back and forth, Ephesus to Corinth. So Paul, this is best conjecture. And I
so
really...
this is a conjecture. This
I
is
really
not
cringe to fight these scholars
truth
on this
necessarily.
stuff. But they say that Paul made another visit over there to correct this rascal in the church, and he is the rascal in 1 Corinthians 5, where the title of the chapter is Expel the Immoral Brother. So they say he went over there to deal with that guy, and Paul in here, this is a rough thing, and a lot of people will go, whoa. 1 Corinthians 5, verse 4. When you are assembled in the name of our Lord Jesus, and I am with you in spirit, and the power of our Lord Jesus Christ is present, hand this man over to Satan. He used to be a brothel boy. Now he's in the church. And he's brought the brothel activity with him. And Paul is mad. And he wants to, you've got to do surgery. You can't just grab all your kids and throw them clear across the room that land on the couch. Because those that want that really want that. But those that, it's like, oh, Daddy, you're trying to, whoa, get it. He wants to comfort in what he says to these people. The depth of my love, I have such depth of love for you. He wants them to know that. But this guy who's doing the brothel routine in the church, get him out of here. Oh, he's so disturbed. So they say he made a visit over there and he stuck it to this guy.
Wow.
And then he got back to Ephesus and continued his ministry. And you can do that. You can ship across and you can ship back. And I don't. Yeah, and so I made up my mind that I would not make another painful visit to you. So, and he's writing 2 Corinthians. After he leaves Ephesus, I said this when I started 2 Corinthians. He's up in the north end shores of the Aegean Sea, and he had made another visit, but he doesn't want to make another painful visit. When I can come back, I'll really come back and stay. He stayed 18 months in Corinth. He stayed 3 years in Ephesus.
Yeah.
And he made a painful visit over, and he didn't want to make another painful visit because that guy did it. But yeah, this is the thing about these really dark people that sneak into churches, and it's a tough thing. What do you do? What do you do? You know, I know people that they have angel kids and they'll have a rascal kid. And this rascal kid, well, it's my job to stir the pot at this house. No, it isn't. Where'd you get that?
No kidding.
We don't need pot stirrers. We don't need a fire starter at this house. We don't need an agitator in the house. We don't need there are just some people, they'd much rather be in an argument than in a conversation. They'd much rather be in a squabble than in a relationship. And they think, well, I'm the rebel type. You know, I was in grad school, and there was a student, and I said, why can't you, dude, I want to help you. And he goes, well, I'm the rebel type. I said, like Satan? Well, the rebellion was started by Lucifer, you know. I know you're real impressed with your thing. Stop it. How do you comfort the church and specifically grab that guy? Surgically, you know, you want to pull the tumor out of the brain, but you don't want to disturb the brain. I did a session on one of my medical mission trips where I really got up to the brain surgeon, and we talked brains. Oh my goodness, the fascination. You want
Let's
to take
talk brain,
the tumor
shall we?
out.
Yeah.
He said, sometimes I have to take a tumor out, and it's like taking melted cheese off of angel hair pasta.
Got to go real slow.
Oh, you got to take out the melted cheese. And you know how easy it is to cut the pasta on accident?
Uh-oh.
One of the procedures he was in took 23 hours because his tumor had attacked the vision part of this guy's brain.
Whoa.
He got the tumor out, the brain returned to normal, and the vision came back.
That's amazing.
Paul is doing surgery on the church in Corinth. That's just like this. And this
It's like
guy,
the game operation. You can't touch the sides.
This guy in 1 Corinthians 5 who is just stirring the pot, he's decided, well, you know, I used to be the brothel boy, but now I want security and a wife. So he gets security and a wife, and then he's in the church. Wow, hey, these are nicer than the rest of the world. So people like to, I want to be treated nicely, but I want to keep my dark side. Paul deals with it in a rather severe way. And the guy had just, well, I want monogamy for my wife.
That doesn't work that way.
I'm telling
you
you,
can't
folks.
just want monogamy for the one person in the relationship.
You've got to do you got to do monogamy and seal and shut the door. Stick to monogamy, and if you won't, you open a can of worms. You open a Pandora's box that will not get shut until you've torn. Well, it's just a small portion of my life. You know, the Titanic was way more than 99% fine. The hole in the Titanic was a cumulative 8-inch diameter hole on an 890-foot long ship that was 60 feet tall. How big is it? How many square foot is that? Not even 1 square foot of the ship was wrong. Took the whole thing down.
It was just at least a hole in every compartment.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Rat poison is 1/10,000th rat poison. The rest of it's good food. The rest of it's fine. Well, I'm really good in a lot of places. Expel the moral brother. And if you won't leave, hand him over to Satan. And Paul did this in a ceremonial way.
Wow.
It's called a painful visit.
I wonder what that ceremony was like at the church. It's the hand you over to Satan ceremony.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be pretty bad.
You might say, well, things happened today that weren't on the bulletin, wouldn't you say?
Oh, goodness.
For if I grieve you, who is left to make me glad but you whom I have grieved? Like I said, read 2 Corinthians. Read it again. Read the whole thing again. And if you want to do this, I had to do this in grad school. Read 2 Corinthians every day. And the themes get louder and louder, and the comfort gets warmer and warmer, and the correction gets clearer and clearer. Yeah. I wrote as I did so that when I came, I should not be distressed by those who ought to make me rejoice. I'm so happy with most of you. I had confidence in all of you that you would all share my joy. He loved these people. They made him so happy. For I wrote you out of great distress and anguish of heart, and with many tears. That's how he wrote 1 Corinthians. Paul loved this guy, and if you could spend time with him, you'd love him. Oh, you would love him. And when he had to leave, you would cry. When he left Ephesus, they followed him all the way to the docks, and they wept and wept. He's in Ephesus writing 1 Corinthians. He's north of there. He visited Corinth from Ephesus. He's north of there writing 2 Corinthians. I wrote to you out of great distress and anguish of heart and with many tears, not to grieve you, but to let you know the depth of my love for you. The longer I live, the more I read this Bible, the more I work with people, the more strangers I meet, the more I just people look at me and go, you're kind of different. I love people. I love people, and it throws some people off. Those who, hey, leave me alone, man. I got some dark stuff I want to keep managed and keep alive.
Or they're just introverts. People can be introverts and not
they're
want
a
to
super
connect.
introvert, and they think I'm trying to sell them a stolen watch. No. I just like people. It's time, and my boss is picking me up in less than 30 minutes. I do need to go. My love for you is of the love of Christ. May you be blessed this day. May you know that God looks upon you with joy. He is not angry at you, no matter what has happened or what you think, I've done it. No, God's love for you is eternal. His anger can last a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime, and God's favor is upon you all your life. Be well.